Hello guys, welcome to my channel Bengaluru Techies. Today we'll be developing and deploying a .NET Aspire based application. As you know, .NET Aspire is supported only in the preview mode. You need to set up a development component in a preview mode. For the same, I have created a video, and if not yet watched, I'm attaching the link in the description. Please follow through and set up your environment. Let's dive in and create our first .NET Aspire based application. So I have opened a Visual Studio. As you can notice, it is in a preview mode, and let me create a new project. Click on File and hover over on New. We'll get to option Project. Click on that, and in the project templates, if you search for Aspire, you'll get two templates. One is .NET Aspire application and .NET Aspire starter application. So the starter application is a kind of a template where they have both web API, web application, and .NET Aspire host. Whereas in the .NET Aspire application, they just have a .NET Aspire host. So we will be discussing both templates, and we will see when to use. So if you are starting your development for the first time and you don't have a previous application, so you can directly go ahead and use .NET Aspire starter application and progress your development. Whereas you already have a .NET applications which are in .NET 8, then you can add .NET Aspire application template, which will provide you a .NET host to which you can link your other applications. So as I said, .NET Aspire is mainly for a distributed cloud-based applications. So for this demo purpose, first I'll be going with a empty template. What I'll be doing is, even before creating that, let me create a Blazor application. Let me create a Blazor web application. So I am naming it as Aspire Web, and here I'm using BFF pattern, that is backend for frontend. So my frontend is developed using Blazor and backend is developed using .NET Web API. So let me click next, and here when you are creating, you have to take .NET 8. So I'll click create. I don't want to change any of the configuration, that's fine for me. So if you select this include sample pages, it will create a simple default templated Blazor web application. So if I just run this one, the build has succeeded. It will open up a web application with the default Blazor template, as you can see. And here the weather is linked. So basically what is happening is there is a static array they have, and it is looping through that array, and at any point of request it is randomly bringing those values. So you can see this, great, right? And this is a static array. There is no API call is happening as of now. I'll show you the same. So if you expand your components and you expand your pages and go to weather, this is from where the weather is getting rendered. And if you notice, if you are not aware how to use .NET Blazor, let me know. I'll create a separate video for the same. So if you know, if you see the code section of the same, here you can see there is a array, and from where it is randomly selecting the values and displaying the same on the UI, right? So this is the code. There is no API call is happening as of now, and it is a simple Blazor application. So this is your front end. Assume you have used .NET Blazor for a front end. Is it mandatory you to use .NET Blazor? No. You can use your even MVC as well. But in the template which comes with the starter application, they use .NET Blazor. And for the demo, I'm also using .NET Blazor. So as you can see, I've created a Aspire web app, and let me create a API application. So right click on the solution and select add and click on new project. And here I'll be selecting .NET Core Web API. Click next and let me name it as Aspire API. Click next, and I'll keep all the configs as it is and click create. So as you can see, a .NET Aspire API web API application is created for you. And even this pattern you might have seen, or this kind of keeping multiple executable files or multiple application within the same solution file, you might have seen. So what usually happens is you'll either select one single project as a startup project at a time of debugging, and you set it as startup project and you will run and you debug. Or if there is a dependency between each other, so in this case this is a BFF pattern, so obviously there is a dependency. So what you will do is you will click on solution and then go to properties, and here instead of single you will select multiple, and you will say which has to be launched, right? So this is how usually we do, but with the .NET Asper it is not the case. So we will explore that as we move forward. So let me just build .NET Asper API and make sure it works. So builder succeeded, and if I run this one, this also simple weather API. So it compiles successfully and it executes. So as you can see, it launches a Swagger page, and this is your default API which is available. And if you make a call for the same, you'll be getting a response. So our API is working, as you also previously noticed. Our web app is also working. Now what we will do is we will use .NET Aspire. So now we will see how these two application can be clubbed together, or how Aspire can help us here for orchestrate these two applications. So what now I'll do is right click on the solution, click on add, and select a new project. At this time, I'll be selecting .NET Aspire application. So click next and see next, create. As you can see on click of create, it created two projects. One is .NET 8 executable file, another is a simple class library. And if you go and see its program file, it is no more a normal web application, it is a distributed application. So this is the main intention of Aspire, so where it helps us. Now, as you previously saw, we had a web API and a web application. Now I can attach this web API and web application for this app host. How you can do? So right click on this application and click on add. Here you will get an option .NET Orchestrate Support, Aspire Orchestrate Support. Click on that and it gives a pop-up. It says Orchestrate project is already exists because I created this application. If you don't even create this, it just by clicking that or choosing that option, it will automatically create this for you. Since I went ahead and created this application already, it is giving me this option. Say okay for this, so it will add. So here if you see the CSproj how it is getting added, it added the reference of the API project application. So I'll do the same thing for web app also. Just right click on this and hover on add and select .NET Aspire Orchestrator Support. Click again OK. Even the same reference will be added. So here you can see both project reference got added. And if you notice your web applications, even there also the host project service defaults project reference will be added. And if you open your program classes, so there will be an additional builder.add service defaults which is coming from this class library as part of Aspire, which will contain most of all common related configuration or services which we are using. Might be like telemetry, health checks, etc. Right? So all this, if in details required, we'll make another video. All these options, when I run, I'll show you how it is visible. All this can be customized and it can be modified as per our requirements. Okay. Now instead of selecting individual projects and running, I can select .NET Aspire app host and click on run. It will build and start the application. Once your application is started, so it is basically loading up .NET Aspire host. So you can see this is a default dashboard which .NET Aspire is providing us, and it says what are the project which is running under this host. So one is Aspire API, another is Aspire Web. You can click on this and browse the individual applications as well. So you can click on this, it will open this. Currently, this both are not internally communicating with each other, but just they are orchestrated using this host, right? And you can click on this containers if you are running any containers, like you want to use a distributed systems, caching systems, might be a Redis cache or anything which gets deployed on your containers. You can monitor that from this dashboard itself. And executables, any executable files you develop as part of this Aspire project, so that also comes and get listed here. So in this dashboard, you can see logs, project specific, like you can select API web, how many projects are there. Individual projects real-time log can be visualized, and telemetry also is integrated. Open telemetry is open source, so it is integrated. So any request happening between multiple layers of your application can be viewed. So you can click on this view, how much time it is taking, for which request, how many requests are going, or how many layers it is going. Everything can be visualized here, and there is a metrics option. So where you can select your source, so sorry, service, and you can select what happened, like how much you can metrize and view it as a graphical view. So you can select for last 5 minutes, last 1 hour, last 24 hours, like this. So now what we will do is we will code and we'll make this two applications to communicate with each other via app host. If you notice the program class of host, you can see there will be add project and it will be adding our projects, that is API and web application. So if you inspect this, you can see there will be a class getting created for individual projects which are linked under this host, which inherits iService metadata. And if you see the properties inside this class, they'll be having nothing, or they'll be having the information of the path where the CS proj and where your DLL of the same is present. So how many number of projects you link, that many number of projects will be getting added here. So basically you'll be getting a few commands here. One is add container, add executable, and add project. So whenever you add projects, they'll be communicating via this host. And when you say container, this like when you want to use Redis and any container which you want to deploy in your Docker containers. So then you can use this container, add executables, any files you want to execute. So those things you can use under add executables. And along with this, currently they support few things. One is Redis container, RabbitMQ, Postgres, and Microsoft SQL. So these are the few services currently Aspire supports. And the same has been listed in their official website as well. Even before going to that part, if you see how the directory looks when you create this .NET Aspire application, so the root directory is .NET Aspire sample, and there is another directory which contains your API service application, and then your host, and then this is Aspire service defaults, and then your Aspire web application. So this all things within one solution. This how the directory looks. So as I was mentioning, so these are the few things which currently is available as part of .NET Aspire host. So you can use any of this and continue your development activities. So for this demo, what we will be doing is we'll be already we have added projects. We'll be sharing the context between them and trying to use. So let me start the development. Now currently as I shown here, there is a static weather class which is there and which is randomly bringing those values. Instead of that, this web application will make a API call and fetches the data from this API and binds the same on its UI. So what I'll do is I'll start adding weather API client. So for a quick demo, I have copied the code, and here you can see this is the weather forecast API, the endpoint of this one, and there is a record which is nothing but this when it is getting deserialized. And let me add this injection here, client. So here typically what we do is usually we'll provide a complete URL instead of now URI or URL. Instead of giving the complete URI, what we can do is we can just give that applications as you registered here. Now that is just .NET as per API, right? So if you provide this, it will be resolved. So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving HTTP and this. So by this value, it automatically resolves itself. So let me resolve this error. So here you have to call that handler, sorry, that client which you created just now here. So now our client is called and it is dependency resolved. So now let me go to components and pages, and in the weather page, instead of making all this code, what I'll be doing is I'll be directly calling that API. So let me inject that the HTTP which the API client which just now I resolved. So let me inject that. So let me call this as weather API client and let me use it here. What I'll do is I'll remove all this code. So here you can see this forecast is the one, the object which is getting binded here and getting displayed as a table. So if I assign the value to this forecast field, it will be automatically binded. So let me make that API call. So this is get weather async is the one which makes the API call and provides me the output. Let me wait for this. It is a synchronous call, and I need to assign the same for here. I think there is a issue. Like there is a class, private class, which has been created, so it is getting confused to resolve. Now it is removed, so it will be able to resolve now. So let me, and once this both are done, I need to pass the context, which I have not yet done. So let me go to host. So whenever you want to pass that, so you have to do dot with reference, and you assign the project which you want to share. So for example, I'll make it as var API. I'll assign it to the API variable, and I'll pass the same here. So now they can communicate with each other. So let me build the application. Build is succeeded. Let me run. So as you can see, the dashboard loaded now. And let me fire up the web app and move to with this. Let me see whether it is getting from the API, and it is making a API call and receiving the data. So let me go to the trace, and you can see here the traces. It is making a call and it is getting the same data. So let me click on this. So this is the request which came from web app and it went to API. It got the request and it binded the same. So let me go back and make one more request. So there is addition one more log getting entered. So you can notice the time, right? Okay. And let me click on this. So this is how the .NET Aspire dashboard looks, and let me add Redis container here. So where I'll be using Redis container here is for in the weather speech. So I can add Redis. Or I can add caching for say default of 5 seconds. I don't want to refresh any data for 5 seconds because weather won't immediately change for 5 seconds, right? It takes some time. So what I'll be doing is I'll be caching the results which are getting from the API, and I will be displaying the same for 5 seconds, and post 5 seconds it will make a API call, get the data and rebind the page, right? So for that reason I'll be using Redis here. So again for this you have to go to host and again add this builder dot add Redis container. Okay, so select add Redis container and provide the value. So the name I'll provide as Redis cache, and this need to go for web, so I'll be placing it to top. And since you want to use this, you need to add Redis cache output cache here as well. So let me add, and as you can see, this doesn't automatically resolves for you. So you need to import a package for this or install a package for this. You can click on manage nuggets, and here make sure you have clicked include pre-releases. So as I said, it is in preview, so most of the nugget package are also in pre-release mode only. So then type aspire and install aspire stack exchange for Redis output cache. So install this one. So once installed, this will be resolved upon importing the namespace. It got imported, so it got resolved. And apart from this, what else I have to do changes here is I have to pass this cache also as a reference. Let me assign it to a variable. Whenever you want to pass to a below project which is linked, so just use with reference. And if you want to make any changes for your Redis cache configuration, you can do this do at any point of time. But here currently I don't need to do anything, so plain thing, so I'm not changing anything. Just make sure this name is same as it is here as well, so it is same. And let me go to the weather page and inject. So this is .NET 8 thing, so use attribute, and within this square brackets use output cache to resolve that with namespace, and within the brackets provide the duration. Okay, it should be capital O, and provide the default value. So here currently I provide duration as 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds the same content will be there, and after 5 seconds it has to be loaded. And what I've done is I've even opened up my Docker component. So as you can see, currently nothing is running, right? So when I run this application app host, now you need not to come and what is this, do a deployment here. So it automatically does that for you. So when you run this, now let me show you the container of the Aspire dashboard. So basically it runs both applications. So there is some build error. Let me fix that. Oh, sorry, this is not a string. That is the variable. So let me run this application. So as soon it starts running, here you can notice deployment here. So I'm waiting for it to get started. So the .NET Aspire dashboard is getting loaded for you now. So as you can see, a Redis container will be deployed and it will be ready and up and running. So before that, I didn't add any running containers here. So it automatically deploys for you and it keeps it running for you. And once you stop this application, it will automatically get destroyed as well. So if you see your page and go to other, and this will be cached for 5 seconds. The same thing can be noticed here as well in the traces. So now the calls will be like within this for 5 seconds, and then it will make a API call and get the response, right? So this is with what is this using containers. Now what I'll do is I'll stop this. So before even stopping the application, I just wanted to show like you can click on the view and view the values which are there here as well. So if I go and turn off the application which is running, so before that let me show you this container is running, so it will be removed automatically. So let me turn it off. And if you open your Docker now, there is no container which are up and running. Okay, so this is with respect to your .NET Aspire development using a already for already existing applications. Now, when you want to use, if you want to use the template, this all code which I shown here will be automatically given for you. So let me create that template as well. So just I'll select new project. I'll not go in deep for the same as the most concepts are explained. So here you select and you provide your path, and let me keep with the starter template and say next. So if you select this one, it automatically creates a binding auto at the time of creation itself. Let me click at this point of time, and this is your .NET Aspire starter applications, how it looks. So it will be having a web API service and web application. By default, they use Blazor. And if you want to use your .NET MVC, you can add your project and do as I've explained. Right click on this project and hover on the add, and you'll be getting an option .NET Aspire Orchestrator support. Click on that. Even .NET MVC is also supported. And if you see, all the bindings will be already done. So with the cache and everything, and even with if you open your web application, so if you open your components and pages, now instead of getting from a static place, the code is already binded to make a API call and get the request. And even caching is also written here, output cache for 5 seconds, right? So this is the starter template which you are receiving. Now we will move forward about the deployment. The deployment in .NET Aspire is pretty simple. What you have to do is go to the root directory of your host application, or you can use it as an argument, project argument, and navigate with that V as well. So I'll just navigate to the project root folder and paste this command. What I am writing here is .NET run publisher manifest, and output path is aspire manifest.json. So when you run this command, what it happens is it builds your application. So it takes a little time. Once it is built, you will be given aspire what is this manifest.json file will be appearing here. So this is your aspire manifest JSON file, which will be used from your Azure ADCLIs to do the deployment. So basically, whatever the components you're using caching, so that related informations are there. You're using app service and web front end service. What are the things which are used under this? Even those information also will be available. Now use after this, if you have a Azure account, you can use Azure CLIs. For that, you can use Chocolatey and install and Azure CLI, and you can continue the deployment using this manifest file. So once you pass this argument to that Azure CLI, it will do the deployment according to the instructions provided here. So here it supports both HTTP and HTTPS. If you want to change anything, you can do that as well, and it will deploy for you. So this is about the video. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for your support.